displaying the glory of God's creation by exploring America one park at a time. Welcome to Parking Full Time with Big Dave, the park's professor. First hole. The par and distance are at the top of the screen. This is a very open hole with only a few small trees to navigate. There is the park's lake off to the right, and while on this hole that's about 30 feet off to the right and it would take a pretty bad throw to end up there, on future holes that lake is going to become much more prominent. There's also a walking path off to the left, and that walking path is going to be seen several times, and it is a heavily used walking path. Across the walking path to the left is out of bounds, but in spite of that, there's a decent chance you're going to have to wait occasionally for traffic to clear before you can throw. The second hole is a dogleg left. It doglegs around the same walking path that we walked beside before, and once again, the area on and to the left of that walking path is out of bounds. In general, I don't like out of bounds like that. I view it as contrived difficulty, although I know some other people like it. This is another very open hole, and please stick with this video. There are some good holes on this course, but it's going to take us a little while in order to get to them. I do want to welcome you back to Parking Full Time. I am Big Dave, the park's professor. We are at Indian Mountain State Park. We are in Jellico, Tennessee. We're about 3 miles west of I-75 and only a couple of miles south of Kentucky. The third hole is another very open hole. It plays almost imperceptibly downhill towards the lake. The basket is located near the single tree you see up ahead. One thing you should know about this park is that this park is built on an old strip mine, and therefore the drainage here is very poor, especially in the lower areas by the lake. I came here on a warm and humid day in early May, when pretty much every other park I visited was dry, but here in several places I ended up wading through about an inch of water, and so keep that in mind when you're choosing to play here. We're coming up to the basket now, and there's the view from behind the basket back up to the tee. The fourth hole plays the opposite direction as the previous hole, and it's another very open hole. There is some dense woods off here to the right that you need to avoid, but otherwise this is a very open hole. The range of distances I'm giving you at the top of the screen is because most holes have multiple basket positions. There's only one basket per hole, but on most holes there are 2 or 3 places the basket could possibly be. On this hole, the basket is in the middle of 3 possible positions, and so the actual distance on this hole is about 310 feet. If there's a big difference, I'll try to tell you where the basket is, which position the basket is in on the video clip. There's the view back to the tee. The fifth hole plays across the park entrance road. It's a somewhat heavily traveled road, but there's clear sight lines in both directions, so that's not as bad of a safety hazard as it could possibly be. This is another fairly open and fairly straightforward hole. The basket is located only about 10 feet from some dense woods, which are behind the basket, and therefore you really don't want to overthrow on this hole. The 6th tee is off to the right. You want to follow the edge of the woods to the right. There are some route finding issues on this course, and therefore I recommend taking a picture of the course map near the parking area. That'll come in handy a couple of times. Hole number 6 is the first kind of interesting hole on this course. It has a wide fairway that doglegs slightly left and then slightly right. There's this nice row of large trees that guards the right-hand side of the fairway, but more problematic is off to the left. There's some dense woods off to the left, and there's also a water-filled ditch off to the left. And so you really don't want to miss left on this hole. If you miss left, that's going to be a tough recovery and very possibly a lost disc. The basket in this clip is in the longest possible position, the C position on this hole, and therefore we are going to see the full 570 feet. Also off to the right up here, you'll see some standing water, And that's not fresh water. It had not rained that hard right before I came here. That water's been there for several days. And so you really would prefer to play here during a dry spell. The basket is wedged in this tight corner of the mowed grass area. There's dense woods long and left, and there are a couple of other large trees to the right. This is one of my favorite holes on the front nine. The 7th hole is another long hole, and it plays the opposite direction as the 6th hole. There are a lot of large trees off here to the right, and therefore the optimal strategy is to play to the left, probably to the left of the line I'm walking on right here. Now that strategy is not without risk. The park entrance road is off to the left, and that park entrance road is out of bounds. But still, if you want to get the most out of your tee shot, that's the risk you're going to have to take in order to get that done. I captured this video on Tuesday, May the 7th, and it was a warm and very humid day with temperatures in the low 80s when I came here. The basket on this clip is in the long position, the C position on this hole, and so we are going to see the entire 560 feet of this hole. This basket is located on the side of a little mound, and this is really the first time on this course where any elevation comes into play. Overall, this is a very flat course on a very flat piece of property. The 8th tee is off to the left across the park road. The 8th hole is another very flat, very open, and very boring hole. There is a park road just a few feet behind the basket, so you don't want to overthrow. Other than that, there isn't really much interesting to see on this hole. I do want to take this opportunity to thank you for watching. Also, if you like this sort of video, please click the thumbs up and subscribe buttons. Those help other people to find this video, and also encourage me to bring more of this sort of thing your way. There's the 8th basket. And there's the view back to the tee from behind the basket. The 9th hole is of course the final hole on the front nine, and it's also by far the most exciting hole on the front nine. It's a forced water carry of almost 200 feet. And you can see that there are trees over on the other side of the inlet of the lake, and therefore even if you throw it far enough to carry the lake, you can still end up in the water if you happen to hit one of those trees if you lose some accuracy. And there's the view from behind the basket back to the tee. That is the end of the front nine. I will see you on the back nine. Until then, have a great afternoon, take care, and Lord bless.